an Accessible Media Incorporated original production.
High-profile investigator Andrew Peatson had been killed at a very popular casino. The murderer has managed to pull off the crime right under the noses of everyone before slipping away. The murder was committed in a very unusual way. Who could the killer be? Someone who wanted to settle accounts? Someone jealous of Andrew? Could it have been a hired killer?
Hello there, it's Detective DJ, and welcome to another week of Detective DJ's Crime Crushers. We hope that everyone is having a great week, as we are. And we also hope that everyone has been enjoying our episodes as we have been bringing them to you. And we are looking forward to yet another episode this week. This week's episode is called Crime in the Casino. Before I get going, however, I just wanted to introduce our crime crushing team to you. Let's start with Dr. Shay Harrington, who is our resident psychologist. Shay always has something to say. She always knows when to say it, how to say it, and why it should be said. Next, we have our favorite investigator, my right-hand person, Chip Sanderson. Chip is always on the go. He always is here, there, and everywhere. And he is the right-hand man of this group. He's always investigating, always going. Next, we have Dr. Ryan Martini. Ryan is our crime scene specialist, and he's always one of the first on the scene to give a description of what he sees and what he thinks. Then we have Dr. Nicholas Gasquet. Dr. Nick, as we often call him, is our resident pathologist, and he always has to pronounce the cause of death, and that's not a very pleasant thing to do, but Dr. Nick is used to it. And finally, we have young Alex Kirchhoff, who always has questions to help us solve this crime. Alex is a computer whiz. Alex is Alex. He's always thinking, always surmising, but always has questions for everyone. So there you have it. There is our Crime Crushers team. And for this week, it's called Crime in the Casino. Well, this week's episode is in a crowded casino. Bells are ringing, machines are busy clanking out the coins, and people are jumping up and down all excited. But little did they know that there has been a crime just committed in the midst of them all. What is this crime? Well, let's see here. We find that there is the body of a man lying face down on a blackjack table. The body belongs to that of a high-profile investigator. Now, there seems to be the top half of a pen sticking out of the nape of his neck, and blood seems to be trickling down from his mouth. He is dead. There is a tight ring of people standing around this guy. He's high-profile investigator Andrew Peatson, and one of his friends is standing next to the body. People in the blackjack room seem to know what is going on, as they are speaking in hushed tones. But outside of the blackjack room, no one seems to really know what is going on. All of the blackjack tables have been closed down. And shortly after this has been discovered, gambling in the casino has been brought to a halt. And patrons now in other gambling rooms are beginning to leave the casino. The police have cordoned off the blackjack room, and no one in the blackjack room is being allowed to leave. My goodness. You never think that a crime would take place in a casino not like this, but here it is. According to Dr. Shay, she believes that this crime took place in a crowded area because this is where the perpetrator wanted it to take place. And the perfect occasion for this crime to have taken place is when no one would be least suspecting of a crime taking place. And the perpetrator knew that the victim's reason for being there is that they were out for the evening at the casino. So the perpetrator, according to Dr. Shea, knew exactly what they were doing and where they were going to commit this crime. Now, let's move on and look at what Chip has come up with thus far, very early in the investigation. And he's saying that some of the motives for this crime could be Andrew Peatson could have uncovered some secrets, or maybe people wanted to settle some accounts with him, or maybe someone had wanted his very lucrative business. It always comes down to that, that people want your lucrative business. People want you dead because you've uncovered some secrets, or people just want to settle accounts. In many crimes, that's always the case, and in this crime, it is no different. Or someone may have hired a killer to kill Andrew Peatson. Chip has identified the following persons of interest: Carter Oakley, Stephen Mackenzie, and Jay Bryden. 3 persons of interest that our Chip has identified. Well, let's go straight into the investigation and see what else Chip has for us. He tells us that Andrew Peatson was a very high-profile investigator, and not too long ago he had busted a very high-profile cheating ring at a very prestigious law school. And the son of a high-profile judge had been caught as the mastermind. He had been writing exams on behalf of other students. My. Why would the son of a high-profile judge be doing this? And there had been a lot of publicity over this incident. And Judge Carter Oakley, Sr., had been stripped of his judgeship. The judge had been a law professor at the law school and had given exam answers to his son, Carter Oakley Jr., so that his son, in turn, could write exams for other students. Shame on Papa, eh? And Andrew had caught Carter Oakley Jr. sneaking into the room to write an exam for a fellow student. Carter Oakley Jr. had confessed everything. It had been his idea, but his dad had gone along with it, and his dad would give him the questions and answers to the exams that his dad had set, so that Carter Oakley Jr. could review them, remember them, and Carter Oakley Jr. would then approach certain students and offer to write the exam for them at exorbitant prices. So let's go over this one more time so you get the picture very clearly. Carter Oakley Sr. would give the exam questions and answers to Carter Oakley Jr. And Carter Oakley Jr. would then approach fellow students offering to write these exams for them at exorbitant prices. Andrew had also managed to bust another crime at a very high-profile hospital. He had been called in to find the surgeon who had made 2 fatal errors in 2 separate surgeries. He had discovered that Dr. Stephen Mackenzie had been diagnosed with MS, but the doctor had not told any of his staff. His shaking hands had caused him to make 2 fatal errors, and this occurred during 2 different surgeries. So Stephen Mackenzie, or Dr. Stephen Mackenzie, had MS, didn't tell anybody, and because of his shaking hands, 2 fatal errors had been made during 2 separate surgeries. The first error occurred during a surgery to the son of Dr. Mackenzie's very close friend. It was supposed to have been routine surgery, but Dr. Stephen Mackenzie's shaking hands had caused him to sever an artery during surgery. The second occurred during a very complicated delivery. Again, Dr. Mackenzie's shaking hands had caused him to make a slip with his scalpel, and both mom and baby had died. Now, Andrew had stumbled upon the doctor and his shaking hands during his investigation when he went to interview the good doctor. At first, Dr. Mackenzie tried to hide it, but when Andrew dug further, he had discovered that the doctor was being treated for MS. A close friend of the doctor had confirmed Andrew's findings, but Andrew had gotten to like Dr. Mackenzie and had tried speaking to him before handing in his report. And he had even considered walking away from the investigation because of his like for Dr. Mackenzie, because he didn't want to be the one to incriminate Dr. Mackenzie. But Dr. Mackenzie, unfortunately, continued to deny it all. Finally, Andrew had to hand in his findings, and Dr. Mackenzie was dismissed. How unfortunate. After this happened, the hospital had to make a full disclosure, and there was a lot of publicity over this as well. Now, both Judge Oakley and Dr. Mackenzie had been forced to find other careers because naturally, in the case of the judge, no one would hire him as a judge or as a lawyer because it was such a big case. And in the case of Dr. Mackenzie, the same thing. No one would hire him as a doctor because he had made these errors. The judge had opened up an electronics store, and Dr. Mackenzie had gone into real estate. Unfortunately, both men were heard to have vowed revenge, and Andrew Peatson was very, very aware of this. Now, not too long ago, Jay Bryden had come to work for Andrew Peatson, and he was becoming a fast-rising star. But rumors are rumors, and you know how rumors are, and rumors had started. And these rumors consisted of people saying that Jay Bryden was taking away clients from his boss, Andrew Peatson. And the rumors went further to say that Jay was plotting to take Andrew's business away from him. On this fateful evening, Andrew and a friend had gone to the casino for the evening. And so too had Jay and his friend Sparkles. Sparkles had gotten tickets for herself and Jay. They were guest tickets. And she had also gotten tickets for Andrew and his friend to attend the casino as guests that evening. Jay and Sparkles had been dating for the past 6 months and had begun to become more serious about each other. Jay had wanted to get married, but Sparkles had wanted to wait for a bit longer. The police had found Jay and Sparkles in the roulette room, and they had found Carter Oakley in the dining room. Police had found Stephen Mackenzie alone in bed at his home. So there you have it. This is what the picture looked like at the casino. Let's now look again at the suspects that our chip has identified for us. First, we have Carter Oakley Sr. Carter Oakley Sr. was a judge who had been dismissed because he was caught in a cheating ring at a very high-profile law school. He had given questions and answers to his son, who in turn sold these questions and answers to fellow students at exorbitant prices. Next, we have Dr. Stephen Mackenzie. And Dr. Stephen Mackenzie had been found by Andrew in a very difficult position. The doctor had MS and had unfortunately been involved in 2 fatal surgeries. He was directly responsible for the deaths of these patients. And finally, we have Jay Bryden, who, rumor has it, wanted to take Andrew Peatson's business away from him and wanted to just get rid of Andrew. 3 distinct suspects. Let's now look at how poor Andrew Peatson died. According to Dr. Dick, Andrew died of a massive heart attack. And this had been caused by the fluid found in the poisonous pen. Someone had injected this fluid, this deadly fluid, into Andrew through the use of a pen. That's very horrible. Andrew had died almost instantly, and blood had also been found coming out of his nose and mouth. Well, I've had a chance to look at all of these reports, all of the investigations, all of the interviews, and here's how I think it was done. Everyone in the casino had been caught by surprise. First, the lights flickered, had gone on for a few seconds, and then came back on. It was during those few seconds that the killer had made their move. They were ready and had no difficulty in using their poisonous pen to do the deed. They had started to leave just as the lights had begun to return. First, they mingled with the confused crowd, and then they had no difficulty slipping away. This is how I think it was done. So before we go on, let me just summarize everything for you so that you have all your ducks in a row before trying to solve this. Scene is at a casino. Andrew Peatson has been found dead, lying face down over a blackjack table. There is an ominous pen sticking out of the nape of his neck, the top half of that pen. Andrew apparently has been killed with this poisonous pen. Fluid was put into the pen and the fluid was injected into Andrew. Andrew was there for the evening with some friends at this casino, and so too was his partner in crime, Jay Bryden, and his girlfriend, Sparkles. Andrew had been there with his friend as well. Now, Carter Oakley Sr. had been found in the dining room of that casino. Stephen Mackenzie had been found at home in bed alone, and these were the other 2 suspects in addition to Jay Bryden. Now, you must consider some questions that young Alex has for you, and after considering these questions, you will then have a better idea as to who could have killed poor Andrew Peatson.
Who possessed the greatest motive? Could the location of the various suspects have been important? Could the killer have done it on behalf of someone else? Was this a plot involving more than one person? Could Sparkles have had a hand in this?
Let's look at some revelations that I have for you. All 3 suspects had very, very strong motives. The location of each suspect, however, was not a deciding factor. So the fact that Carter Oakley Sr. was found in the dining room was not a factor. The fact that Dr. Stephen Mackenzie was found at home, in bed, all alone, was not a deciding factor. And that Jay Bryden and his girlfriend Sparkles were there at the casino on the same evening that Andrew Peatson was there with his friend was also not a deciding factor. It is possible that the killer could have done it on behalf of someone else, or that they could have acted on their own. Sparkles could have been involved either on her own or on behalf of someone else. Very interesting about our Sparkles. Could she have been a lone wolf? Or could she have been acting for somebody else? What do you think? Who do you think did this very, very devious and horrible crime to kill Andrew Peatson with a poisoned pen? The killer was Sparkles. She had heard about the successes of Andrew Peatson with regard to the Carter Oakley case and the Dr. Stephen Mackenzie case. And she formulated a thought in her devious little mind. And she developed her own strategy to get some money. She had first befriended Jay Bryden and had learned a lot about Andrew Peatson's habits. And she had gotten to learn that Andrew Peatson loved going to casinos, and accordingly she formulated her plan around this. She had visited both Carter Oakley Sr. and Dr. Stephen Mackenzie, and she had offered to kill Andrew Peatson in return for large sums of money. Both men had agreed and had paid Sparkles half the amount of money that she was asking for. But she did not tell them how or when she was going to do it. She had also approached Jay, but Jay had flat out said to her that he wanted nothing to do with it. Jay, as a matter of fact, had never wanted to kill Andrew because he had loved working with Andrew, and killing him was furthest from his mind. And he had never thought that Sparkles was serious. But Sparkles was serious. And Sparkles was devious. And Sparkles got lots of money from the two suspects, and she carried out the crime. She had no intention of doing anything else but getting that money and probably disappearing after that. So there you have it, folks. Another crime crusher scene in the books. Crime in the Casino. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we loved bringing it to you. We wish you a very good rest of the week, and we will see you again next week.